Hello, this is Sean Canfield, advisor of the University High School Academic Decathlon team. This is the fourth in a series of short documentaries that focus on what I like to refer to as the Trifecta, teams that won in the same year the Fresno County competition, the Small School State, and Small School Virtual National Championships. As of the production of this documentary, the university has accomplished this feat 6 times. It is my goal that UHS will obtain this distinction many more times to come. As mentioned in earlier documentaries, the toughest portion of attaining the trifecta has been the Fresno County competition. For years, Edison High School had dominated this competition, winning it an impressive 13 straight years and 16 out of 18 years from 1992 to 2009. Although we ended the streak in 2010, Edison took back the county championship in 2011. We reclaimed it in 2012, and in 2013 became only the 3rd school in Fresno County history to win consecutive championships. Similar to a tug-of-war, and living up to the reputation of fielding tough teams, Edison once again took back the county championship in 2014. Although falling just short of winning a 3rd straight trifecta, the accomplishments of the 2014 team were still quite impressive, as the following shows. Although disappointing in not winning the county championship, we had a solid cadre of sophomores and juniors on teams 1 and 2 returning for the 2015 season that would become one of the great teams in Fresno County history. Although there are several unique characteristics that come with academic decathlon, perhaps the most unique characteristics are the blend of both individual and team practice. Students must read the materials. There is no magical alternative. This requires individual discipline. Team chemistry, however, is crucial. Team members must quiz yet support each other to make a hardworking team into a winning team. A unique opportunity presented itself for the 2015 academic decathlon team. A local news station conducted extensive interviews of our team and filmed the team during a typical evening practice mere days before the competition. What follows is not glamorous, yet helps explain why this team was so successful.
Even larger reward for the EPA.
And then they also gave it money, I think, and then they also, for certain, air for losers. So that's the not actual body, right? It's like not actually a body for making legislation. It's just the people, like who.
Sierra Club.
Yeah. Okay. Clean Water Act is 1972. And
what about the Safe Drinking one?
And then 1976 is RCRA.
Yes.
And 1980 is Kirkland.
What's RCRA?
It's Resource Conservation and Recovery Act. And that's when you know who messed something up. And then Kirkland is when you, Schellenberger and Ted Norhaus, the Breakthrough Institute, that's the ones who talk about the death of environmentalism. Okay?
Or is it,
that's
were they
basically
talking
how
about
environmentalism is no more, like, it's not an effective force for policy change anymore.
Post-environmentalism?
Yeah.
Okay, wait, can somebody define post-environmentalism?
It's basically the idea that just out and right saying, okay, everything that humans, not just about change, it's also about consciousness. Montreal Protocol, what year?
It's
not 78, reverse your last 2 numbers. 87. Yeah. That's the total. And I think that's nations in the world. Yeah,
At least in the UN.
Yeah, well, no. All the nations in the world are in the UN except some.
You sure Vatican's not in the UN?
We went on this.
Wait, how come? there a reason?
I don't know
It's
what
not
the
in?
reason is. They're just not in the Vatican. Not in the
They're not in the Vatican.
Not in the
I wonder why.
They're not in the UN.
Okay, Sean, are you ready for
And
this?
it's Taiwan and South Sudan hasn't gained recognition yet. Like they're just declaring independence. You know how if China has repeatedly said if Taiwan says, okay, we're an independent nation, it'll be war. So what happened was they removed Taiwan from the UN and put China in its place. So like imagine in the Civil War, right? If the UN had been there, like you can't have both the North and the South in the Civil War because it's implicitly agreeing that they're both separate countries, which they were. Like in the Civil War they were, but like if you apply it to the Taiwan-China concept, that's basically the whole deal.
You got the...
Yeah, with the Clean Air Act.
Wait.
No. Oh yes. 75.
Yeah, 75 is.
Yeah, 75 with
75 was the first
EBCA.
topic.
It was the EBCA.
They just
and
under-
when does it get updated? It's only 2005 or
I think it's
2007.
2005.
05.
05 and then
Perhaps most rewarding with the news team's visit took place with interviews that were conducted with 2 students. Although only sound bites were included in the televised version, we do have for your enjoyment much more extent interviews. I think you will be impressed with their words.
Did you get on the team? What prompted you to be a part of this?
I had a friend who I'd met in elementary school, and we kind of lost touch, but then reconnected in high school through band mostly, and we became pretty good friends. And I didn't really know what Acadec was at the time, but he just advised me, just come check it out. And I liked it a lot, and now I'm totally into it. So.
And you said you described yourself as what kind of a student before this?
A varsity student. I'm kind of lazy. Varsities would rather be sleeping than reading. That's the varsity motto.
How has this changed that for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And the program was actually made for varsities. And my teacher is someone who told me that, and he himself confessed that his senior year he would have been a varsity. But it's in a way that academics, I don't know, I just don't necessarily engage very well in the classroom setting, but the competitive aspect of academic decathlon, as well as like my team support, really engages my learning, and I find it really fun as well as educational, and it's helped me overall, I think, outside of even academic.
Okay. So, is this more than what you expected as far as the amount of work and the commitment and all that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. At the school, the academic team has this saying, we've sold our soul. Like all my free time is devoted to this at this point because we have such a rivalry with Edison, and we want to go on to state, and we want to do well in nationals, and it's just not necessarily pressure, but it's driving pressure. It's good, and it's it's really helped me with that whole laziness as well.
What do you like about this?
What I like most about academic decathlon is that you have to be skilled in all subjects. For example, like my weaknesses are in literature and even in speech and interview for some examples. I've had some struggle with these subjects throughout my younger careers in school, and I really wanted to work on this while focusing on my math and science side at the same time. I saw some of the medals that my other teammates had in these events, and I really wanted to be a part of this. So I really wanted to improve myself academically on the whole.
Okay. What do you like about it?
I like mostly how you can, academic decathlon is in many senses a theoretical thing. Like the science we study in academic decathlon, it's different from what you study in Science Olympiad, another extracurricular that our school has. In Science Olympiad, you have to build things and engineer things, design things. I was in that for a year. However, I found it wasn't really my strong suit. I liked academic decathlon, the science, the history, those kinds of things, those abstract ideas. And to me, that's what has appealed most about academic decathlon.
You know, you all are in this ongoing rivalry with Edison and yourselves. Is that part of the thrill too?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, knowing that this rivalry exists, and it's like who each year between each of you who's going to win.
Yeah, that's definitely another big part of the competition for me. Like just looking around this room we have right here, You can see just how important this is to our school. It's a big legacy, and like to us, this is our football team. We don't have that many sports here, and academic decathlon is that to our school. So for me, especially competing against Edison, there's another student who I kind of know almost personally. He and I are huge rivals, and we're trying to constantly beat each other and break new records in the county. And I really like that about this academic decathlon.
Finally, I was given an opportunity to sum up what academic decathlon is all about.
As a school, what does it mean to have received so many honors for the academic decathlon?
Well, the credit goes to the students. And so for me, it's a reflection that all too often, and I say this when we go to school board meetings, so much time you have to put on regrettably negative things. And so whether it's haggling over budgets or disciplinary problems or expulsions or any other set of problems, how refreshing that you have mature young people who are doing this, and they're doing the right things, they're making the right decisions, and they're not only bringing recognition from their school, but they're showing great determination, and they're showing great maturity, and it shows they're just going to be ready for life. And so to me, that's the biggest picture, that you get these young people who can be as young as 15, 16, and you see what they produce in the end, then you realize that there's very few things we cannot accomplish when we decide to put our mind to it. The news interviews were conducted just days before the beginning of the competition. The last Saturday in January is devoted to the subjective portion of the competition, essay, speech, and interview. There is no immediate feedback except the hope that some student on your team was judged to have one of the top speeches in the county. In the recent past, we had been honored with some of the top speeches in the county. When we did not receive the call, this was the cause of some concern. But as it would turn out, we had very little to worry about, for our subjective scores would turn out to be some of the best of all time. Studying and practice would turn out to be decisive. February 7th had arrived, and the team was ready and determined. At every possible moment, the students were studying. Even during lunch, when most teams tend to take it easy, and in some cases play games, the UHS team continually studied. Throughout the day, the decathletes were feeling confident, but then there is always the super quiz. Without question, the super quiz is the most exciting portion of the entire competition. Open to the public, the super quiz resembles both the Olympics with the march of the teams into the gymnasium to music, with throngs of cheering students and part spelling bee as the decathletes answer questions in a matter of seconds. The tension can be quite high, and entire competitions are frequently won and lost because of the super quiz. Ironically, we had won the super quiz the previous year, yet had failed to win the overall county championship. Fortunately for us, the 2015 team performed quite well. I think the pictures sum it all up. It is, of course, always great to win the Super Quiz, but 2 times before, 2009 and 2014, we had won the Super Quiz only to lose the county championship. As the ceremony continued, however, my initial caution transitioned to cautious optimism, and then confidence as each round saw our medal total increase. Finally, after all the events had been recognized, the medal total stood as follows. Although I did not know it yet, UHS had just set a new county record for most individual medals ever won in the competition. All that was left was the top individual scores, a portion of the award ceremony that usually indicates which team will emerge victorious. The top 10 varsity, scholastic, and honor students are recognized along with the top 3 overall scores, regardless of division, also known as the Dean's Awards, which are not included in the individual division scores. Starting with the 10th highest score in each division, it resembles a countdown in which you do not want your name to appear for as long as possible. 10th down to 4th place had seen only 2 UHS students named. The remaining top spots were to be mostly UHS students. In fact, for the first time in county history, UHS would have the top individual honor, scholastic, and varsity scores. And we still had 2 honor students who had not yet been identified, who had obviously qualified for the Dean's Awards. In the most challenging and highest scoring individual totals in county history, juniors Philip Canoza and Fayez Ahmed finished 3rd and 2nd with remarkable scores at 8,938 points for Philip and 9,089 points for Fayez. Fayez just missed winning the top individual score, but, spoiler alert, he would get even with his Edison counterpart in 2016. With the county championship the only award left to be given, I must confess that I was quite confident. Given our dominance during the awards, it was pretty obvious we were going to win. And after Edison had been announced for 2nd place, the recognition that we were about to bring back the championship was blissful. The remaining question, had we set a new county record for most points scored? Beginning in 2013, the competition had changed with 10 individual events plus a Super Quiz, making the total possible points higher. When we had won in 2013, we had become the first school in county history to crack 50,000 points with a total of 50,630 points. Edison had won with a slightly lower total the following year. The big question, would we set a new record?
And now, your overall first place team. It's also the top scoring team from all divisions who will be representing Fresno County in the state academic decathlon. The competition next month in Sacramento will receive the Superintendent's Sweepstakes Award and their first place division trophy, the first place overall team trophy, and the perpetual sweepstakes trophy, along with team ribbons and a $1,000 cash prize to help defray the cost of traveling to Sacramento. In addition, a $250 scholarship for the winning coach. The winning team with a score of 52,258.3 points. University.
What was there not to be proud of? This record-setting team had done just about everything possible. There were, however, 2 remaining pieces of the trifecta remaining to be won.
Turn to some of the brightest high school students that came together for the annual Fresno County Academic Decathlon. The theme for this year's competition was New Alternatives in Energy, Ingenuity, and Innovation. The champs for the 4th time in 6 years, University High School. All right, there they are. So what does this mean for the school and its students? Please help me welcome Coach Sean Canfield and team members Andrew, Karthik, and Christian. How are you, gentlemen?
Fine.
Looking good, looking
Thanks.
good with your medals on. Congratulations, first off.
Thank you.
Coach, I'm going to start with you. How important is this decathlon for high school students throughout the Valley?
I think it gives students an opportunity to display themselves in an area that most people don't see, where they're having to work hard, learn responsibility, learn skills, and then to see the fruition of their work in the competition. And so it's a test of real fortitude and teamwork and dedication.
Now, Andrew, isn't it a bit intimidating, or you're just that smart?
Of course, I think it's extremely intimidating. And at first, I think academic decathlon, at least at our high school, does have a reputation of being very intimidating. The students do understand that there's a lot of work that goes into academic decathlon. And that's the cool thing about our team. Everyone knows how much work that is needed to go there, and everyone willingly accepts this responsibility. And it creates a really nice environment to study in, I guess.
Were you a bit under the gun, I guess I should say, Christian, because you guys have been champs for so long now, right? This is your 4th year that you've been champs?
Yes, but also it's not easy. We're still in heavy contention, especially with top teams like Bullard and Edison. And I mean, yeah, we're under the gun, but we're also really driving to like create a tradition that puts, future university, high school, academic decathlon kids in a position to be under the gun, because we've been winning for so long, hopefully.
Well, I've got to say, I don't feel like I'm talking to a high school student, and all three of you are so well-spoken, but you kind of have to be to tackle this topic that you guys were tackling. Karthik, tell me, how difficult was that?
I think it's definitely very hard, because there's 10 subjects, and you don't start off thinking, okay, I can just focus on one subject and win the competition. It's about everybody focusing on all the subjects, and in that way it's exceedingly hard, because our binder this year it's closing in on like 1,000 pages to read again and again and again. So it's a big task for sure.
Okay, so what kind of subjects were you all tackling?
Well, there's a large variety. There's art, economics, language and literature, music, science, social science, speech, interview, essay. I'm forgetting one.
Super quiz.
Super quiz.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Andrew, tell me, what's it like being there with all the rest of the students? And are you taking quizzes? Are you doing essays, multiple choice? What are we doing here?
All the tests, there's like 7 tests that are based off of just subjects.
Okay.
Like just subjects you can like learn in school. And all of these are about 50 multiple choice questions, and combined total, each question is worth 20 points for a total of 1,000. And then besides that, you also have to practice your interview skills. You go into in front of a panel of 3 judges, and then they interview you, and then based on your responses, your posture, your appearance, you get scored upon that. And then same thing with speech. You appear in front of 3 judges, you give a prepared speech, and afterwards there is an impromptu speech where they give you 3 prompts and you pick one, and then you have a minute to make a 2-minute speech about it.
My goodness.
And then essay is just essay. You pick a prompt.
Essay's just essay. He says.
It's just an essay. You just write an essay on either science, social science, or language and literature.
Well, now what's next for them, Coach? Are they advancing now to a state competition?
Yes. Next month we will be competing against 64 other schools from the state of California.
Wow.
And we have been very fortunate in that we are usually in the top 10, but in addition they give the award for the top small school in the state, and we qualify for that, and we've won that 8 years in a row. And by winning that, we then qualify for what's called the virtual national competition, where we'll be taking the same tests as the real major powers, just online, and we've won that 8 straight years also.
My goodness. well deserved, and I know that you guys are going to do wonderful in the state competition. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you.
Christian, this is like a Super Bowl for you guys. This is it. This is huge, right?
Weeks of dedication, months of staying at school until 8 o'clock.
Can I send my son over to your parents, and maybe your parents can give him some tips? Look at Andrew's going, no, I'm good. Listen, thank you all so very much.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. We'll see you again next year. Okay.
In In the state competition, UHS continued its streak of winning the small school competition, earning its 9th straight championship and finishing 11th overall. We would have easily finished in the top 10 had it not been for a sudden, unannounced change in the interview format, which disproportionately benefited schools from Southern California at the expense of mostly schools from Northern California. We still ended up with an outstanding score and won 8 individual medals. In the virtual competition, University won yet another decisive victory in the small school competition, beating its nearest competitor by 4,700 points and winning 42 individual medals. For the 4th time, UHS had taken 6 out of the 9 top individual scores. Philip Canoza and Fayez Ahmed finished 2nd and 3rd as the top honors students. Our Scholastics swept the top 3 spots, with Andrew Pham, Rick Rodriguez, and Sean Chan finishing 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and Chris Wilson finishing 1st as the top varsity student. Regardless of prior successes, each new season poses new challenges to any competing team. The 2015 team was certainly motivated to bring back the county championship and the goals of keeping alive our streaks for small school state and national championships. There were plenty of individual goals that each decathlete had dedicated themselves to. Yet perhaps the greatest goal that this magnificent team accomplished was simply team effort. The willingness and desire to work with and support each other in this rather arduous process to win the trifecta. It is very easy to get discouraged, to get down on oneself or with fellow team members. Yet this did not happen. The 2015 team worked with and supported each other during the best of times and the most trying of times. With our usual great student support, this team set records daunting in appearance, but in reality quite attainable by a group of young students willing to dedicate themselves to excellence. The end, victory, but also wonderful memories and amazing lessons learned that will last for a lifetime.